almost think I can remember feeling a little different. But if I'm not same, the next question is, who in the world am I? That's the great puzzle. And begin thinking of all the children she knew that were of the same age as herself, to see if she could have been changed for any of them. I'm sure I'm not Ada, she said, for her hair goes in such long ringlet, and mine doesn't go on ringlet at all. And I'm sure I can't be Marble, for I know all sorts of things, and she knows such a very little. Besides, she is she, and I am I, and oh dear, how puzzling it all is. I'll try if I know all of things I used to know. Let me see. 4 times 5 is 12, and 4 times 6 is 13, and 4 times 7 is, oh dear, I shall never get to 20 at any rate. However, the multiplication table doesn't signify. Let's try geography. London is the capital of Paris. The Paris is the capital of Rome. The Rome. Oh no, that's all wrong. I'm certain. I must have been changed for Marvel. I'll try and say, how does the little, and she crossed her hand on her lap as if she was saying lessons and began to repeat it. But her voice sounded hoarse and strange, and the words did not come the same as they used to do. How does the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and for the water of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheerfully the he seemed to grin, how neatly spread his claw, and welcome little fishes in with gently smiling joy. I'm sure those are not the right words, said poor Alice, and her eyes filled with tears again, and she went on. I must be Marble after all, and shall have to go and live that poky little house, and how next to no toys to play it. Oh, ever so many lessons to learn. No, I've made up my mind about it. If I am Marble, I'll stay down here. It'll be no use putting their heads down and stay. Come up again, dear. I shall only look up and say, who am I then? Tell me that first, and then if I like being that person, I'll come up. If not, I'll stay down here till I'm somebody else. But oh dear, cried Alice with a sudden burst of tears, I'd wish they would put their heads down. I am so very tired of being all alone here. As she said this, she looked down her hands and was surprised to see that she had put on one of the rabbit's little white kid gloves. While she was talking, how can I have done that? She thought. I must be growing small again. She got up and went to the table to measure herself by it, and found that nearly as she could guess it, she was now about 2 feet high, and was going to shrinking rapidly. She soon found out that the cause of this was the fan she was holding, and she dropped it hastily, just in time to avoid shrinking away altogether. That was a narrow escape, said Alice, a good deal frightened at the sudden change, but very glad to find herself still in existence. And now for the garden, and she ran with all speed back to the little door. But the little door was shut again, and the little golden key was lying on the glass table as before. And things are worse than ever, thought the poor little child, for I never was so small as this before, never. And I declared, that's too bad, too bold, too bad. That's it is. As she said these words, her foot slipped, and in another moment, splash! She was up her chin in salt water. Her first idea was that she had somehow fallen into the sea, and in that case I can go back by railway, she said to herself. Alice had been to the seaside once in her life and had come to the general conclusion that wherever you go to on the English coast, you find a number of bathing machines in the sea, some children digging in the sand with a wooden spade, and a row of lodging house, and behind them a railway station. However, she soon made out that she was in the pool of tears which she had wept when she was 9 feet high. I wish I hadn't cried so much, said Alice, as she swam about, trying to find her way out. I shall be punished for it now, I suppose, by being drowned in my own tears. That will be a queer thing, to be sure. However, everything is queer today. Just then she heard something splashing about in the pool a little way up, and she swam nearer to make out what it was. At first she saw it must be a walrus or hippopotamus, but then she remembered how small she was now, and she soon made out that it was only a mouse that had slipped in like herself. Would it be any of use now, thought Alice, to speak of this mouse? Everything is so out of the way down here, and I should think very likely it can talk. At any rate, there's no harm to trying. So she began, "Oh, mouse, do you know the way out of this pool? I am very tired of swimming about here. Oh, mouse." Alice thought this must be the right way of speaking to a mouse. She had never done such a thing before, but she remembered having seen in such brothers Latin grammar a mouse of a mouse to a mouse, a mouse. Oh, mouse. The mouse looked at her rather inquisitively and seemed to her to wink with one of his little eyes, but he said nothing. Perhaps he doesn't understand English, thought Alice. I dare say it's a French mouse, come over with William the Conqueror, for with all her knowledge of history, Alice has no very clear notion how long ago anything had happened. So she began again, out asked mijkor, which was the first sentence in a French lesson book. The mouse gave a sudden leap out of the water and seemed to quiver all over with fright. "Oh, I beg your pardon," cried Alice hastily, afraid that she had hurt the poor animal's feeling. "I quite forget you didn't like a cat." Not like cat," cried the mouse. "Not like a cat," cried the mouse, in a shrill, passionate voice. "Would you like a cat if you were me?" "Well, perhaps not," said Alice in the smoothing tone. "Don't be angry about it. And yet, I wish I could show you our cat Dina. I think you'd take a fancy to cats if you could only see her. She's such a dear, quiet thing." Alice went on, help to herself, as she swam leisurely about in the pool, and she sits falling so nicely by the fire, licking her paws and washing her face. And she's such a nice soft thing to nurse, and she's such a capital one for catching mice. "Oh, I beg your pardon," cried Alice again, but this time the mouse was bristling all over, and she felt certain it must be really offended. "We won't talk about her anymore, if you'd rather not." "Oh, indeed," cried the mouse, who was trembling down to the end of his tail. "As if I would talk on such a subject. Our family always hated cat. Nasty, low, vulgar things. Don't let me hear the name again." "I won't, indeed," said Alice, in a great hurry to change the subject of conversation. Are you fond of dogs?" The mouse did not answer, so Alice went on eagerly. There is such a nice little dog near our house. I should like to show you. A little bright-eyed terrier, you know, with such long curly brown hair. And it will fetch things when you throw that, and it will sit up and beg for its dinner and all sort of things. I can't remember half of them, and it belonged to a farmer, you know, and he said it's so useful, it's worth £100. He said it kills Walderat, and oh dear, cried Alice in sorrowful tones. I'm afraid I'm offended again. For the mouse was swimming away from her as hard as it could go, and making quite a commotion in the pool as it went. So she called softly after it, "Mouse dear, do come back again, and we won't talk about cats or dogs either, if you don't like them." When the mouse heard this, it turned around and swam slowly back to her. Its face was quite pale with passion, Alice thought, and he said in a low, trembling voice, "Let us get to the shore, and then I'll tell you my story, and you will understand why I hate cats and dogs." It was high time to go, but the pool was getting quite crowded with birds and animals that had fallen into it. There was a duck and a dodo, a lorry and an eaglet, and several other curious creatures. Alice led the way, and the whole party swam to the shore.